I feel so alive. As I reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out to the sky. I found my way, I found my way. I was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day, 'cause I found my way.
Well, my friends, it's another wonderful day in the Philippines, and I have reached 2 milestones, 150 videos and 25,000 subscribers. Now, I've tried for a few days now to think of the words to express my gratitude without taking it up in an entire video. This channel is like having a child, watching it grow, mature, and I'm grateful, like a proud papa. And you're all like another family to me. That is why I try to make a point of sending a reply to each and everyone who leaves a comment. You're all important to me. I will always try to keep it very real and never try to overstate my happiness and contentment here in the Philippines. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and that along with likes will help me grow my channel, carry the hope to others who may need it but haven't seen the channel yet. I wanted to do something different in this video. I have a reputation of being overly positive about my life here in the Philippines and the things that could be negatives for a lot of people. So I've decided in this video that's exactly what I will do. Also, I will compare and contrast the Philippine life here for me and the life there in San Diego as it would be if I was still there. So I've watched some other videos and I've gone by lots of comments that I get and try to make a list of all of the things where people discuss the negativity of being here in the Philippines. All of the reasons why most expats who don't make it decide to go back home. What was their reasoning for leaving? The last thing I want to do is to get someone to come here and then be disappointed because of misunderstandings. Also, we will see maybe why I haven't focused on these things that are so negative to other people, as I discuss the comparison from my point of view. I've heard other vloggers saying some guys are just always too positive, like everything is peaches and cream, never discussing the negatives that might keep others from coming here and then regretting it. I'm not selling anything. I'm not trying to convince people to retire abroad. I'm simply showing what those who are interested, what their life can be like if they're not happy where they are. I'm encouraging the courage in those wanting to start a new life that they can do this. I decided I will do a video where I'm discussing the negatives I had to deal with when I first got here, and then also offset with comparisons from my point of view, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I will also contrast those negatives with the positives while being here. Then I am sure it will be a lot easier to understand why I am always so positive, or why I'm so rarely negative. Now, if you're one of those people whose glass is always half empty, coming here isn't going to make it automatically half full. One of the biggest complaints that vloggers have about the Philippines is the infrastructure, brownouts, internet, water pressure, traffic, and streets. Keep in mind, if you haven't been here, there are over 1,000 islands that are inhabited, and the infrastructure will be more or less different on each island. So if your favorite vlogger complains he's got water pressure problems certain hours of the day or entire days with no water at all, that's because that's the way it is the area he lives. That's particularly the reason I don't complain about things that may be a big deal to them. Let me start with water pressure, for example. I've heard low water pressure, no water, all this problem in the Philippines. So now I'm a bad guy because I've never complained about the water pressure and warning people about it before they get here. In self-defense, I can tell you that in 3.5 years, there hasn't been 30 seconds where I have not had enough water to take a good shower. Not once. Possibly because I live on the island of Luzon in Pampanga and I don't live in an area where water's a problem. With the electrical brownouts, they are usually scheduled maybe up to 4 times a year here in Porac, Pampanga. Actual unscheduled brownouts typically last less than 60 seconds, once or twice a month. A matter of fact, if it's nighttime, I'll usually wait a few minutes before I even get up to get a candle. 90% of the time, that's just a waste of energy. We had maybe 2 brownouts so far this year lasting up to 2 hours during one of the typhoons, when a tree would fall on a line or something like that. The winter I lived in Olympia, Washington, our power was out for 4 days during a snowstorm. The summer I left San Diego, they were having brownouts because of the power grid couldn't handle all of the air conditioning demand. They were typically 3 to 4 hours every few days, so you'd be without air conditioning at 100+ degrees. Some people are just never happy unless they're complaining. Now, I don't enjoy brownouts any more than anybody else, but it's certainly not worth complaining compared to where I came from and what it would be like if I was there today. I can tell you that when I get a text and it says brownout on the 9th from 6 to 6 p.m., I'm thinking road trip. maybe overnight, maybe even a staycation, or even just for the day. I can easily afford that with the low cost of living here today. Or just get together with some friends. I still have a long list of places to explore. Boredom is optional, my friends. Next is internet. I have very good internet service where my typical video will take 10 to 15 minutes or less to upload, and my videos are about 10 minutes long on average and about 1080 high definition. I received letters apologizing for upcoming service interruptions, but have never actually experienced it. I think there was a time about 3.5 years ago when it was out for maybe 1 or 2 days, but that's pretty much it. I have fiber optic here. It runs a little under $50 a month, and it's the best internet I've ever had anywhere. Speaking of slow, I've heard a lot of people complain about the traffic here in the Philippines. As far as traffic goes, I'm from Southern California and San Francisco. I hear complaints about traffic in Baguio, for example. Okay, there's some traffic there, but Baguio's less than 5 miles from one end to the other. It's traffic, but not gridlock. So it takes 20 minutes to go 5 miles, but in California, it's 2 hours to go 30 miles. I'm not complaining about traffic here. As a retired guy, I just don't get out there during rush hour, exactly as I did when I lived in San Diego. It's pretty simple for me like that. In Baguio, if you don't have a choice, just leave a little early. You'll be on time. I'm retired, so I can make up my own schedule and travel anytime I choose. And I usually choose not to go the other side of town during heavy traffic. If I don't like it, I can always go back and live on the streets in San Diego. I mean, some people would complain if you hung them with a new rope. Walkable streets are another major complaint when walking down the street. My little town is about as bad as it gets. I'm always weaving in and out, often on the sidewalk, because of the way that they were built and the way people park. It seems like the sidewalks were built for each storefront as each storefront was built, not meant to be uniform as if everyone assumed would be walking in the streets. Here you really need to watch your step and look out for motorbikes and cars when you're walking around parked cars. Safety is a concern here, especially in the province, since so many are uninsured, unlicensed, and no formal training. Not to mention sprained ankles and trip hazards. This is just something I've gotten used to, and only a slight irritation. I've got nothing else on my mind. Do not assume pedestrians have the right of way. That can get you in trouble in a hurry. Safety walking in the streets here got me thinking about the safety in America. The one thing you'll probably hear a lot about, especially from the Never Been Here experts, is safety and crime. They'll say, oh, you're going to get kidnapped, you're going to get murdered, they're never going to find your body, you're going to get robbed. That's when you know your conversation is in the toilet and you're dealing with someone who is probably jealous, cares little about your happiness, and just wants to rain on your parade. One thing's for sure, he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. You've heard about the crab mentality when one is lifting himself out of the pot and the others will latch on and bring him back down? Well, there you go. Just disengage and walk away. No good can come from that conversation. In 2021 in the Philippines, there were 77 kidnappings and over 56,000 in the United States in that same time period. As a senior, the older I get, the more safety is a concern. The more you become a target depending on where you live. I know areas a few years ago where it was unheard of, and now it happens every day. The older we get, the more vulnerable we are. I feel very safe, including most areas of Manila. There are definitely areas of Manila and Quezon City where I have felt uncomfortable, but nowhere near as uncomfortable as I did in many areas of Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego. I did a little Google research, and here's what I found. This is a comparison between the American FBI and the Philippines equivalent, which is the PNP, or the Philippine National Police. About the only high crime areas here in the Philippines is in Manila and Quezon City. Virtually every city in America has high crime areas. Keep in mind that the population of the Philippines is about 1/3 the population of America. So if there's 100 crimes in the Philippines, the equivalent would be 300 crimes in America. So total crimes in the Philippines was 85,776. So rounding it up, and all things being equal, America should have had 260,000 crimes reported to the FBI. Don't worry, I used a calculator. That same statistic in America is 11,880,000. Total crimes, 1.06 crimes per 1,000 people in the Philippines, 41.29 crimes per 1,000 people in America. Now I was talking to one guy and he's telling me, oh, well, that's not accurate because the crimes that are handled by the barangay captain don't get reported to the Philippine National Police. We're talking about arrests here. We're not talking about civil actions which are handled by the barangay captains. How about if I use the prison populations? Maybe that's a better gauge of criminal activity. In the Philippines, there are a little over 70,000 people in the Philippine prison system. So 3 times that, all things being equal, you'd guess no more than 240,000 prisoners in America. But you'd be wrong. There's over 2.2 million people in prison in America. The bottom line is I feel a lot safer here today, and that is a quality of life issue for me, and that will offset a lot of things I could complain about. San Diego is still, in my mind, one of the most amazing places on earth. I will always have some of the best memories of my life there. But if I was living there now with my income, I would be in a high crime area where a lot of young addicted and or mentally ill will also live in cramped quarters with me. But I'm on a new life path now, and I know there's no going back. And that doesn't make me sad. Today, my friends, I'm just so much happier here. That is why I don't really complain. I don't have the same issues as many others do here. My life works well in this country with the income that I have. I prefer to navigate this infrastructure when I compare it to Southern California for the reasons I've mentioned. I'm just flat happier here, to be totally honest. So now, if I always seem a little too happy to be real, now you understand the good, the bad, and the ugly.